Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 53, I believe, of the Strength Hammer podcast. Yeah, I think it's 53 because we took a week off, so it kind of screwed me up a little bit. So you can see I've upgraded Neil into Big M. So tiny N into Big M.
Yep.
That's how that
More
works.
mass equals better.
Heck yeah. Excuse me as I enjoy a nice rum and coke tonight in
Ooh.
celebration of my stunning victory, my single stunning victory, and what we're going to talk about tonight. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But first, Matt, how are you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah. We'll do our best to not make it a 2-hour show. That's
I mean, we'll see.
no promises.
Yeah, no promises. um, but yeah, so let's go through the usual sets. I'll start off with some fitness talk. Right now, my fitness is continuing to be just basic 3 days a week. You know, push, pull, chest, deadlift, squat, just hitting the basic movements. Nothing too extreme. I did have to travel to Syracuse recently for work, so my chest day was as exciting as it usually is because the biggest dumbbells they had were 50 pounds, and I can tell you that's not a lot.
Boy, I
For some people it might be. For me, that's I'm still in warm up weight, so like I had to get really creative to get a good workout
well, you know what they say about people with Syracuse and their chest weight.
in. Yeah, yeah, they're so small up there. Actually, Syracuse surprisingly is a really cool town. It's pretty chill, it's relaxed. But like people there are super friendly. Like everywhere, people were just smiling. So it's cool to see that type of stuff when you travel. Like, I've gone to some
Finally
cities,
out of
people
the
are just fucking
snow.
miserable. You know what I mean? Like you go to Ohio, everyone's just frowning and unhappy. You go anywhere else, they're excited because they don't live in Ohio.
Yeah, no, with Syracuse, I'm pretty sure it's just because they're finally out of like 12 feet of snow.
That's true. That's very true. Uh, Matt, did you have any fitness going on? Anything you're working towards, goals, whatnot?
Mowed the lawn.
Yeah, I did too, because we're about to get 6 fucking days of rain.
Yeah,
I didn't want
yeah,
to mow the lawn today, but I had to.
yeah. No, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. All right. But onto the more exciting hobby. So I appreciate those who do care and join in on the excitement I have for the fitness section, but the hobby section is where it's about. So, Matt, without
Yes.
talking about tonight's topic, which we're going to
Yeah.
just keep under wraps. I mean, people have clicked on this video or downloaded this podcast and have seen the title, but we're going to
Yeah.
keep eluding away from it. So what's your hobby been outside of that?
Well, I mean, you're talking about not the event,
Yeah, not
but
the event. Well,
painting for the event.
yes, that counts. Painting for the event counts.
Well, so I in the nick of time finished a 2,000 point list of KO just using the boats that I previously painted. Of course, I had to do basing on everything,
Yeah.
which mm, mm,
It
meh.
was it was it
I
was it was good enough. I mean, got the job done.
well, so my biggest concern about it is I have a bunch of KO already painted, and so for that I used astrogranite and just put some nightshade over top of it.
Okay.
And so for the new stuff, I'm using the natural texture for rough surfaces or whatever the hell it's said. Rough terrain, and it's white.
So,
So
you know what's exciting? Do you know how I do my KO basing? Same exact stuff. I finish it differently. But yeah, I love this stuff. The AK natural texture rough terrain acrylic is wonderful.
yeah, so again, I love that it's a neutral color that you can take it in any direction you want. My problem is it is a different color than
What you're dealing with.
astrogranite, and I wasn't thinking. So I still went with just nightshade over top, so it came out different. Um, I think I figured out a couple ways to get back to where I need to go.
Well, do you
Um,
like the new version or do you like the old version? That's my question.
old version.
Okay,
Old
because if you
version.
like the new version, it's easy. You just rebase everything over top of what you have. Because what you have already,
Yeah.
well, actually, you could probably still do that with the new ones because that's a that's
Well,
just a really
it's still in
overdone
the
base.
same
But
right. It's in the same direction, and I actually have my old friend Doctor Midas, who's my completely gold. Um,
he's your hands are
chemist.
perfectly clear, and he is the most blurry model.
If I do it this way, if I do it that way,
Nope, nope,
back up a little bit, a little
nope.
bit,
I've
a
no.
little
It
bit.
does not want to focus on that model.
Nope,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
yeah,
No, trust me, it's a chemist that's all gold. That's
yeah. No, I can
yeah,
confirm. It's nice. I love the paint scheme you chose. It's the exact opposite of my paint scheme, which is blue and silver.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, that's one of the biggest things that I both like and dislike about painting KO is I I formed a little narrative in my head while painting without even realizing it.
okay.
So my Thunderers all have different, like each piece is a different color or a different color combination. And the
Various
reason I
forms of metallics, you mean?
right, it's all the same. It's the same palette, but it's put in different places. And it's because essentially, in order to qualify for the Thunderers, you have to build your own kit.
Which is very cool.
And whereas like my Sky Wardens, it's very much here's your kit, get out there. You know?
Welcome to the
So like
team.
they're right, so they're very much more uniform. The little Aether ball is a little bit different at each one, but
Yeah.
I said that each. So I did 20 Thunderers, and each one is unique compared to all the others.
Yeah, it does, and they are when you look at it, but when you're just looking at the army, it just looks like a cohesive army. So
And
yeah,
that was the
it's very
plan.
well done. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all in the same red jumpsuits. They all have the whitish, the off-white gloves and
Yep.
belts. So
I still love that you and I have the exact opposite paint scheme.
yeah,
What's then there's Neil. Neil uses blue and gold, so he's like the blend of us, which is interesting because the three of us are doing our little NashCon thing, which we'll talk about on a later show.
yeah, yeah.
But how did you find the stress of painting for an event yet again? You seem to put yourself in that position way too much.
Well, it's not my fault that GW likes to focus in on the armies that I play and go, okay, Matt painted all these things. Let's make those bad and make everything he didn't paint good.
That's why you just gotta be like me and just paint a bunch of everything from the army so you're always prepared. You gotta pick one
Yeah,
army to do that. Don't do that for every army. Pick an army
right.
and go all in. I mean all in. Like you should have 12 Sky Wardens, 12
Well,
Engine Riggers, two of each hero, except for the named one.
as soon as they come up with an army that clicks with me, like daughters click with you,
Yeah,
done.
that's fair. I really want you to be a dwarf player, but I don't know if you're gonna end up being a dwarf player, like by
No,
that
I don't
metric. You know what I mean?
right. Well, because again, like I mean, they don't care about dwarfs and cities, and I get it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not a dwarf army. It's a cities army, and like, um, and then like I said with Fire Slayers and KO, they're like, you will be a one trick pony. Move along.
Yeah, I said, not that it's not fun to play one-trick ponies, but yeah, I feel like I can make an infinite amount of variety of lists from my Daughters of Cain compared to some
Right.
armies. I think Lumineth could do that too, at with where they're
Yeah.
at, but you went in and out with Lumineth pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
Playstyle didn't fit for you.
Right. It was
Teclis is a big dumb nerd in your mind, so
again. Well, what's funny is like whenever it comes to Lumineth, Teclis was the most fun I had in that army.
yeah, I mean, playing the gods, like that's why I have like I mean I love elves. I would
Well,
have it anyway, but like I'm like, oh, I saw the Teclis model, I saw the Ilaria model. I'm like, I'm building a whole army around this one character because it's fucking cool. I don't care how bad it is.
going from playing Teclis to playing Alariel, I can confirm that it's not a universal experience.
No, no. I've played all the gods on the various forms, and it's very different.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I mean, as far as that goes, I said with Lumineth, it was almost there, but it was just the level of NPE,
Hmm.
which is kind of the main thing that's preventing me from playing KO full time.
Yeah, well, maybe if
Um,
Teclis comes out, there'll be a build that you like there. But just wait. I'll probably buy it and build it, and you can try my list before you spend the
that's
money.
what TTS is for, and I realize now I'm
That's
like
true.
I shouldn't be playing elves anyway. That's
Well, I love elves, so I
natural,
think
unnatural.
everybody should play elves.
No, I disagree. Well, so here, let me say how far it goes. Without even realizing it, prior to recording, I was playing Street Fighter 6 demo, which you
Hell
should go out and
yeah.
download.
Heck yeah.
Oh
Go
yeah,
download it, everybody, and get your reps in because as soon as that happens, oh, it's on. Except for the night of the 16th when I'll be at the Taylor Swift concert. Then I don't care about Street Fighter for a night. But then after that, it's
that'll be the
all
night
about.
that I. That's the night where I pull ahead and you never catch up.
Oh, just you won't even. You won't even. Yeah.
So I was sitting there. They finally let you do the world tour a little bit,
Yes. Yep.
and so
Did
I
you make a
realized
freak? And I'm sorry everybody that's tuning here for Warhammer, but Matt and I love fighting games, and we're both
get
really
that.
jazzed on Street Fighter 6. Did you make a freak on the
So
create a character, or did you make a normal person?
somewhere in the middle, I made a dwarf.
Okay, all right, no, it's fine.
Because there's one beard option. There's one long beard option,
That's true.
and the game has no idea what to do with it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Unless you're a designed by an artist character, it does not know what to do with beard. Like I put stubble on
Well,
my first character in the beta, and just like that just looks terrible. Like
well,
why?
that's like they had a body hair option, so I was like, well, I'm a dwarf, I should be hairy, so I put that up. It was horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I don't know if you like whenever you were growing up, if you ever had like Play-Doh, and it's this thing like I had a thing where you could like put Play-Doh in like this little like doll thing and squeeze it, and the hair would come out
Oh yeah, I remember.
and
Yeah,
strand. It was like that, but like some sort of pandemic. Like
yeah,
it was awful.
yep. And those freaks are gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be great.
Oh, I know.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah. So now I'm tempted to make a really, really tall character to see what kind of actual height range you're looking at.
I mean, sure, go for it. But
Yeah.
how does that pertain to what army you want to play in Warhammer?
Dwarves.
Okay, okay. I want to make sure that's where you're going. But all right, we got to find you a dwarf army or a style of the dwarves you can enjoy. I think we
Yeah,
need to figure.
we basically
Actually, that's the thing.
we just can
I don't know
good.
if you're a Spike, Timmy, or a Johnny. Actually, have you ever figured that out? Like I'm a Timmy with a little bit of Spike. I forget.
The problem is um I feel like I'm whichever personality would be having the least amount of fun at any given time.
Oh,
Like
okay. Well, you're just
like if
we.
this game is the most anti-Johnny list, I'm the most Johnny person there is. If it's the most Spike game,
I
I hate being
guess we'll
Spike.
just add the fourth category of Matt.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's definitely not big plans. Um, I wouldn't mind being able to do big plans, but I can't do big plans, and yeah. So it's somewhere between someone that actually cares about winning and wouldn't mind winning doing a big thing. Like
So, which that makes you pretty much. I think that's Johnny Timmy, and I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. 'Cause that's what I am, but I lean more into the Timmy for the fun. The fun is enough for me, whereas you're leaning more on the other side, where the winning is cool, but you like to do it with that one. So,
what's funny is like I was talking about this with Morgan the other day, and like it, for me, honestly, my ideal match is whenever you don't know who's going to win going into round five, and it comes down to a dice roll. It doesn't even matter which way the dice goes, but if you're like, this dice determines the game, boom, that's
okay. See, for me, every one of my game plans is always I'm going to win or lose by turn 3 as fast as humanly possible because I don't want to go any farther than that. That's why it helps.
well,
Okay,
yeah, with your double turn and your attack first and your
ramping up
well,
abilities.
not
Yeah, it's
your
great. It's
yeah,
great.
ridiculous.
Any other hobby going on to bring it back?
No, right now so I've been painting since October.
Hmm.
No,
Yep.
September. So the only thing I have to do from now until NashCon is paint a frigate and repair a frigate.
Yeah, you had the snap based tournament. That's
Yeah, no big deal.
yeah, easy. You can do that.
Well, I don't like the way it looks, but Magnet Baron actually sells a little kit that basically cements it in place. Like it actually has like the top piece actually like makes room for the bottom fin of the hull.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to get two of those and go with that.
Yeah. But it's
But
yeah. There's to me there's two options anytime you're doing, especially those big models like GW flight stands suck. They always have, hands down. And like the big ones are so terrible for the frigate the way it's shaped. Like the for the dragon, like the Stormcast dragons, they actually work and they're okay. Um, but you have two options, and it's either buy Magnet Baron because that thing will hold on forever, or you do what I did and just do terrain and plastic glue in place.
Yeah.
50-50.
Honestly, I don't know why we don't get away from the bases or the flying bases already. Like, how many times do they've been coming out with models now that they have terrain going onto the ground and they build like a little scene of you flying? I mean, let's just keep doing that.
Yeah, I do. I like that too. Like I said, that's why my KO, if it's in the air, there's a piece of scenery cut up and attached to it. To me that's worth the cost with where I'm at as a hobbyist. Just
Yeah.
because it's not going to go anywhere, and if it does break, it's easier to fix than the flight stand.
Now, not all of us have gotten pallets of GW terrain sent to our house, and the little scattered terrain that you used
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is very hard to get a hold of.
Yes. Well, I guess good everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
No,
like,
I don't.
hey,
Yeah,
here's
I'm very lucky. Like I said, I have plethora, but to be fair, that KO terrain that I used, like most of that is actually stuff I had to buy.
yeah.
So
Um, yeah. So like I said, we'll see where we go from there.
nice. My hobby. While I look at my pictures of what I actually painted, because I paint too much. Um, Today I actually watched getting caught up on Black Talon for my Warhammer Plus subscription, and episode 3 was out called Murder. It was all about Daughters of Cain, and they were everywhere, and I am in freaking love. So, holy crap, Warhammer Plus, well worth the cost. They make, and what I like too is there's other elves in there. There's one other elf. There's an Ideneth elf, and she's very like Leaf and like the classic elf, like that you think like Lord of the Rings, like looks frail but isn't type thing. But the Daughters of Cain, they're like these witch elves are all hitting the gym. Like it's like, but it makes sense because like they're supposed to be like trial by combat. They're always fighting and doing. They rely less on magic, more on that like do themselves. So yeah, absolutely. Love the design they did for it. The story was excellent, even though the Daughters of Cain were kind of more in the bad light, which that's fine. Whatever, I'll take it. I'm happy with them.
There's gonna be very few stories that put them in the good light.
Yeah, especially if Stormcast are the head. You like Daughters can't like if they're there, they're being brutal and like an ally, and they'll be but like have them be the center of the episode. It's like they kind of had to be the slight antagonist. So interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, let's see. My hobby, I can't even recall. But I've been painting lots and lots and lots of dwarfs lately for whether it's Fire Slayers. I finished up that army. I added a few Thunderers to my KO, heavily converted. Tons of stuff to my dwarf fantasy army. Actually, now thanks to Neil, he 3D printed me a Thorgrim Grudgebearer, which was the last model I'm missing as far as complete units for the 8th edition book goes. I don't have every model ever from the dwarf range. Like there's still plenty I don't have, and that's fine. But I have every unit to at least 15 and every hero and variant of the hero for my dwarf army from the 8th edition Battletome. And the only army I've ever done that with has been High Elves and Daughters of Cain, so this is like my third complete army, I guess you can say in a way, so it's kind of exciting. But now I'm getting more jazzed up to get back to Daughters of Cain and Dark Elves. So it's like, yay, I'm complete, and I put it away in the box, and I'll see you later.
Let's say like I've been that way with I've been playing Total Warhammer 3 recently. Well, now I've actually been able to sit down and play it a little bit now that I'm not painting every night.
Yep.
Playing the new Chaos Dwarfs, and like they're really strong, but they have made them such a pain in the ass to play. I'm sitting there like, I should switch back to dwarves.
Yeah, I know. I haven't played them yet. I've seen some playing of them, like the Great Book of Grudges. Has a great YouTube channel. He plays it quite often. He also has a live stream on Twitch, but it's fun seeing it played. I haven't picked it up because Chaos Dwarves never excited me, so I don't know if I will pick it up.
I think you would like it just for the simple fact of how Warhammer Fantasy they feel.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'll pick it up someday, but like right now, it's not my need or my interest. Like,
But
if I'm playing a video game right now, it's Street Fighter, and yes, it's a demo with two characters, but
have you looked over the mechanics for the Chaos Dwarfs?
not in full now. Like I said, I kind of like watched some videos on it, but I don't know exactly.
Real quick, just to do the rundown here.
Yeah.
So first off, you have to be in combat almost constantly.
Okay.
Whenever you go into combat, one of your options are you can um, receive laborers,
Okay.
which you desperately need in order to move the game forward at all.
Okay. Yeah,
So
they need their laborers. They need slaves. Let's call it what it is. All right. That's what it was.
they are called laborers with a
Mm.
U in the game.
Oh,
So,
laborers. Yeah.
but
Slaves.
so you know how normally whenever you take over settlement, you can choose, to like just
Sack
settle it,
it or
raise
settle
it,
it.
or
Yeah.
sack it.
Yeah.
Well, so you can sack and raise like normal, but you can choose between either outpost or factory.
Oh.
So outpost brings in raw materials. Factories turn raw materials into armaments.
So you need a balance of both. As you
Right. So
so if you're conquering one thing, you need to conquer two things really to make it work well.
right. Well, that's why you basically start with the outpost, because having a surplus of raw materials isn't that bad, but having more work or having more work output than raw materials is
Right.
bad.
Okay,
And
because
then on
riots and
top of
stuff like
that,
that. Yeah, unhappy
right.
populace. Yeah.
So then on top of that, here's the fun part. You need the laborers to turn the raw materials into armaments. And of course, since you're chaos dwarves, you work them to death.
Right.
So you lose your
Yeah.
laborers every turn.
So you need to
And
be getting more every. Okay, I see. I see.
on top of that, the more laborers you have, the lower your control gets.
Interesting. Okay, so it's a really, really weird fine balance. I see. And we're
Workforce.
oh, you're stuttering a little bit, Matt. We lost you there a little bit.
That's all right.
There you go. You're back.
But
You're back. You're
yes,
good. Okay.
so you basically need to thread the line between laborers, raw materials, and workforce output.
Okay.
And then you start the game only being able to have 3 Chaos Warriors total across all armies.
Okay.
And so you take the output from raw materials is armaments,
Hmm.
and you use the armaments to increase your total number of units that you can bring for
Okay.
the Chaos Dwarves. Which the price is just like it just goes up so high so fast, and like only late game do you actually go, I have more armaments than I need. Um,
Gotcha. Well,
Now,
that's
while you're also doing that, you also have to worry about your conclave points, because there's you know how there's
no, no. Because
no,
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop you here because this is a wild tangent off of me painting dwarves. So we're gonna bring it back a little bit. Oh, if you want to see the full Chaos Dwarf review, actually check out for the next Big M's Power Hour because I imagine you're gonna talk a little bit more in depth about it because you have more
probably
games on the belt.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that because the audience is bored. I'm saying it because I'm getting bored, Matt.
I was only halfway done.
I know, I know. Oh,
So yeah, so that's why, like I said, Chaos Dwarves will never be my main go-to in that game, because I like to sit down and just play sometimes.
right. That's fair. That's entirely fair. Um, outside the other hobby, other than playing games and whatnot, I have 5 Secrets of Slash I'm painting on a very basic scheme for my friend Mark. And after that, I have the Lions Guard box over here. So I'll have my new Primarch and some Blade Guard veterans for my Dark Angels going into 10th edition, which this also, as this comes out, it's Warfest weekend. Sadly, as you can probably guess by my basement, I am not there. But if you are there, have a good time. The crew that...
He's lying. It's a green screen.
Oh no! I wish.
Why is he not wearing his iconic green shirt? It's gray now.
I wish, but the team over there is going to put on a great event. So looking forward to the reveals. Also, check out AOS Coach's show if you're East Coast. That will be at 6:45, 7 o'clock Sunday morning because he invited me on to do the reveals for Age of Sigmar and Old World and Horus Heresy with him. So we'll be doing live reacts to that. So check that out on Coach's show.
But that means that the reveals for Old World are going to be Old World will be good. Moving on to Horus Heresy.
Oh. I mean, I can talk about any of this stuff, but it's just like I hope the Old World give us a date, give us more substance, something, please. That's we need it. We need it. Speaking of which, I'm also kind of loosely planning out what army I want to port over since there's going to be base changes to Old World, and like High Elves seem good, but also it's like I might just do a new army, but I'm thinking Dark Elves just because I want to keep playing with Herathi everywhere I can. So
It's easy enough.
It's probably gonna
What
be
you
Dark
need to
Elves.
do, you just need to get to the point where you get a base, you cut out the insert of the smaller base, glue them to that, and then have the bigger bases with the insert cut out, so you can just swap them.
It's possible. I have seen people do like 3D prints of movement trays that give the separation so you don't have to rebase, and like that would be perfectly fine. But we'll see. I'm crazy, and painting a eighth elf army doesn't phase me. Plus, also, I have so many more metal witch elves in my Daughters of Cain than I could ever use. I could still take 60 of them, move them to a new game system, and still have more than enough. So I might just do something like that.
New witch elves only. That's what you need to do. Is your new dark elf army has to have all plastic witch elves.
I could, or I could move those over and just paint more plastic witch elves for. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's
I
where
prefer the irony. I prefer the irony.
I think that's true. That will be funny, actually, and I don't mind that. Anyway, so that's hobby. Paying some seekers, finished a bunch of dwarves, got the line up next. So, and then I have a super secret. As usual, there's always a super secret project that we have to do for Gen Con for GW. I can't talk about it, I can't post about it because it's kind of like blind things that people can participate with. So that will fill up lots of my time. And if you see the hobby turn to nothing, it's because I have something I can't talk about.
I'll be terrain.
It is not terrain, thank goodness. Um, Regards, moving on from there. So, Matt, what I bring you on tonight? What's the main topic?
I don't know.
That's
You
right.
didn't tell me.
It's elf butts.
Yeah, you did post about
I
that.
did
You
post
did.
about
You did.
that. Yeah, you can't deny. But back to yeah. No.
Yep.
So
The Warpstone GT.
Warpstone Wars GT
Whatever.
2023, Matthew. Come on. All right. So Matt and I both attended this. It's in our hometown area of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at Fabricators Forge, and we've both been to. I think did you go to this one last year?
Yes.
Because I had to pull out because my work sent me to Albany, New York for the same thing I had to go to Syracuse for. But since this was my second year with this company, I could tell them, no, I'm busy. I can leave Monday as opposed to Sunday. So also, I just realized Discord might be making noise, and I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background, everybody, but I can't fix it right now. Yeah, so five games. Pretty simple, basic tournaments. Only 28 players in total by the end of it. However, that doesn't really exemplify the fact that at least a third of those people were some of the top players in America. So
Yeah.
very quickly there became two tournaments. The people in the top bracket and the people not. And then you and Matt, you were unfortunate on bouncing between the two of those. I went down to the bottom tournament and stayed there for the whole time. But
Yeah, it's much like my lot in life with fighting games. I can either find people that I can destroy, or I can find people that can destroy me.
yes. But let's just start with run through what we took and what our goal was for the event because we each had different goals. Matt, I'll let you start as the guest.
Yeah. So I took KO. I took a ranged list, mainly because I had an ironclad and a frigate already painted, and I wasn't going to paint a frigate in time. So I took 20 Thunderers, a block of 15, a block of 5, standard hero array, and 6 Wardens,
Yep.
Sky Wardens. And my main goal
And an
was reps.
ironclad and frigate, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
ironclad and frigate, yeah. And my main goal was just reps. I was hoping for 2 and 3.
Yep.
And that was really about it.
That's fine. I took Slanesh. I was going to take my new Fire Slayers, but having gotten a few games in with them, it was either I was just destroyed way too quickly, or Gotrek destroyed everybody else way too quickly. So it was like a very
Yeah, Fire Slayers are in a real awkward place.
yeah. I still love them. They're fun, but it's just one of those like I'm only going to pull this out for like some casual games.
Yeah.
And this
Well,
is and I
that's
didn't want to take I didn't want to like I wanted to have something I could try with and have a reason to go. Fire Slayers aren't that hard to play, like as far as like the basic core mechanics of it. Um, so like, it wasn't really like engaging to me as a player either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So with Fire Slayers, it's real. It's I actually find them in an interesting spot where it's like again, if you want to really be able to win, you have to go full throttle.
yeah, and
Um,
it's like that's not the list I have. The list I have is stuff I got from Christmas, from Secret Santas and gift cards, and it's
right.
like it just is what it is. It's fun. But
I definitely think you have more fun with your Slaanesh.
yes, which is what I ended up taking because I was like, okay, well, it's also my best painted, so maybe have a shot at a hobby award. But at the very least, my goal was going in. I didn't care about record because if you remember the Brewhammer episode, I was going to try and do as best as I could, and I went 1-4, and was absolutely gutted because I just couldn't do a damn thing. This, I was like, record be damned. I want to learn how to use this temptation mechanic because I think it's on this show. I probably talked about it. I was kind of down on the book. I didn't really enjoy it when I read it from playtesting. I thought it was going to be a very lackluster book, and it still might be. I think there are some builds within it, but I just looked at it and went, I'm disappointed. After 5 games, it is one of my favorite books to exist for one reason. So I took a Godseeker list. So was it? And most of this is thanks to Matt gifting it to me long ago, and he did the hard work of building it. So Exalted Herald on, or no, Vice Leader on Exalted Chariot, second Exalted Chariot, no hero, Hellflare, tunes 20 Daemonettes, Keeper with Sinistrous Hand, the Wheels of Execution, Endless Spell, and 5 Seekers. I think that was, yeah, it sounds like everything. A lot of stuff needs to come down. If the points come down on this army, which they should, because the Keeper's still not worth that points, um, it's gonna be in a much better
Disagree
place.
after my first game.
Well, the Keeper is worth the points if you take the list that buffs her the
Yeah,
fuck up, and then she's probably perfectly pointed. Every other version of the army you can take, she's overcosted. So that's why she's probably going to stay where she's at because
yeah.
one dumb list because people can't fucking have fun with this. No, I'm kidding. You're playing that style, have fun, enjoy it. It's just not how I enjoy the game. Uh, but my goal was to learn the temptation mechanic, and that's what made me fall in love with this army. I had an absolute blast. So we'll run through our games to the level and depth as we want. Some games are quicker than others for both of us, and there's not much insight. But so we get there, we should say too about let's talk about Fabricators Forge. It's a great venue. It's in Coriopolis, PA, so it's near Pittsburgh. I was kind of impressed. I know that there's been working to improve the terrain because most of the terrain, like they do bigger 40K events. I mean, a lot of people do. So last year there was some 40K terrain. Like it was alien, but like you could still tell it. Some of it was still there, but like to me, all the tables felt like fantasy.
Yeah.
I think there's there's a thought towards balance on the terrain, but there's not a full thought on terrain being interactive. So I think that there could be, and this will be like a sort of a recap at the end of the event, but like I think there needs to be someone leading the events that actually knows and Sigmar is like their main thing to care about, as opposed to just being something that they know and can do. And it would really
Right.
improve it, but it also depends on how much you want to grow that. Like with that size event, with what they're doing right now, it's fine. For if you're looking for the future and they're going to have space for 80 people at the next event. If you want to do that, you kind of need to up your game as a tournament organizer. I feel, but we can save that talk for the end. So terrain, I was not I was there was improvement, and I was happy to see improvement from the last event I went to.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think my only real issue with the terrain is um, I don't think it had any impact on any game at any point in time.
The
I think
only
if you literally just removed it from the table, it would not have changed any of my games.
the only ones was the two in like the weird center that were
Blocked
impassable,
my sight, impassable. Yeah.
and then I was able to bring one for my daughter's game, my Slanesh, which is impassable itself. So it gave me like a third to do that with. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. There needs to be more thought into that. But it's nice to see it shift to be more, and they are printing more fantasy specific terrain. So like the theming of the tables will look a lot better as we go forward. But Yeah, game one. I'll be honest. I'll try to remember who I played. I I'm not gonna remember names exactly. I remember armies better. So I apologized to my opponents, and I stopped recording every game if it wasn't Daughters of Cain, so I don't write them down. But Matt, would you like to start with your game one?
Yeah. So game one was against one of those people who was, you know, uh, highly skilled.
Yep.
They brought like the Razor Edge Slanesh list.
One of
Um,
them. Like it was a very spammy version of it,
yeah,
from what I saw, which it's fine. Yeah, I mean it's fine. There's no, it just is what it is. But
yeah. I mean, I didn't have a chance. That's all there was to it. I mean, I put a frigate, or not, sorry, frigate. I put a buffed up ironclad, buffed up Thunderer unit, another Thunderer unit, all into his keeper.
mhm,
I think I did 6 wounds,
there's nothing.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just nothing,
Yep.
nothing. Just bounced off completely. So I'm like, well, there's 1,200 points worth of shooting. So, and then he killed the boat. He surrounded it just enough so everything that got off the boat was killed. And
Yeah, he had a bunch of the cavalry, slick blade
yeah,
sleekers or blissbar, whatever they are.
yeah, yeah. He had all the archers. It was heavily ranged. So he basically outranged me because his range was farther. His shooting was better. His shooting did more damage.
Mhm.
It's more reliable. Had more special attacks. And then his melee was better than my melee. So yeah, it was the Suicide Squad meme with the hey, this guy does what I do. Yeah, totally
Yeah.
bad.
But yeah, I mean that too. Like those cavalry things, they're always going to catch your boats
Yeah,
in every game. You can't hide as KO against like that type of list, unfortunately. So
yeah. So quick loss. So thankfully got to go to lunch early.
there you go. I played Giants. It was Kragnos and the boys. For lack of a better term, um, and I had a great game. This is like when I first realized, and my opponent Andrew, he was enjoying playing with the temptation mechanics, which is I can once per phase for every enemy, I can offer a hit to become a 6, a wound to become a 6, or a save to become a 6, and I have 6 of those per turn. And if your player is willing to interact with it, it's immediately fun. A great time. I mean, I had to throw my keeper on my Daemonettes into one of his giants. But the fun part about that was this little key moment in the game. I lost the game, but I was like, okay, all right. I see how fast I can generate depravity. I see how fast choosing the euphoric killers, like using all the tools in the book. I can generate depravity quite a bit. Um, and then, like I said, there's a nice little moment at the end where I almost killed this giant, and all I had left was the vice leader, like the little herald on foot. I was like, boom, give me arcane bolt in her. She can run and charge. She ran in, unleashed arcane bolt, did her attacks, took out the giant herself. It was amazing, absolutely. Like I was just like, oh no, this is like the first time I played Daughters of Cain with Kraith, which was the first time I played them, and I rolled that 6 on that first Kraith roll. I'm like, now I'm hooked forever.
Oh, and I'll say for KO, that temptation roll, the temptation dice is god awful.
Yeah. So in case you're listening, you don't know. So Slanesh gets 6 per turn. As I said, hits, wounds, or saves become a 6. If the unit accepts it, then the Slanesh player gets D6 depravity points added to their pool. If they refuse it, it's D3 mortal wounds to that unit. So, and it can add up pretty quick. And I didn't have any
Well,
any shooting either, so I wasn't playing with it in one of the phases on my turn. So, like, that's one thing I definitely want to add to uh, my army.
yeah, he was using it basically anytime I did anything with any hero.
Yep.
And I can't take D3 mortal wounds on something that has 5 wounds
Oh yeah, no,
with
you
no
can't.
ward.
Yep.
So by round 2 he had 48 depravity.
Yeah, like I said I didn't think it would be that hard because my grand strategy was to just not summon, and the grand strategy you need to choose is just have 36 depravity because you can get it very easily.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
So
great round one. I took a loss. Every game I was like, I'm gonna play Matt. I'm gonna play Matt. But then you started pulling away from me because you're hiding from me like in the winners bracket like a coward.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so we're both own one. Going to game two. Who did you have, Matt? What army, I guess I
uh,
should say.
I had well, this was uh, this was probably game of the event where I got our local hometown hero Seth bringing
Yeah.
his Beast of Chaos, where we turn one started with a frigate and an ironclad on the board, and that was it.
Yep. Yep. Everything else is in hiding.
he he went with desecrate our lands or desecrate their lands for round one. Popped out like one little goat boy on the back of my. so so I'm like, okay, well we're at the end of the round. I guess I'll all out attack with my thunder.
Fuck you, go man.
um, and then round two happened, and he just put everything on the table, got every single charge, surrounded everything, killed both boats. There was nowhere to put anything. Everything died. End
Yeah,
of game.
Seth's army like is Beast of Chaos. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be no. I haven't played the new version yet. I'm excited to because I can't wait for that to happen to me because yeah, I imagine that's scary. Be like, oh no.
I don't. I don't know how to counter it. Like looking at it, I'm like, I still don't know. You basically have to have four screens.
Yeah,
If
and
well, you
and most
basically have to have
most people are gonna have two, really,
right. You
realistically.
essentially have to have two screens for every hammer.
That's that's impossible in KO, if I'm honest.
Right.
But okay, my second game was against Gitz. It was a troll army against Jose, I believe this gentleman, and our local player Brad plays trolls a lot, so I knew what to expect. Um, but uh, and surprisingly, my first game I kept the points close. In this second game, I took another loss, but I kept the points close yet again, which was very exciting because I thought I was going to get. He didn't have as many like the river trolls for vomits, so like I made some clutch choices and charges. I was really doing well with my battle tactics to keep in the game. Um, and yeah, like a couple armies, like my tactic every game was to just, rah, I'm in your territory, and here we go, and like try and hold you back so I can control a board, which really does work for the style of army that I brought. It's just my survivability was lacking. So it gets to be like bottom of four. Um, I might have a few models left, but it's not enough to really change anything. And then if my opponent can max their points, which they usually can, usually means they can squeak ahead by a few points at the end. So great game. Really enjoyed the opponent, but um, it was very much one of those games where I felt like I was winning until literally the priority until turn five. Because I'm like, if I win priority, I can score the points before he kills my stuff. But I think he won the priority. Maybe it was between three and four. Regardless, it was a very close game, and he took the win in the end because like I just ran out of steam. So if I wasn't using the grand strategy to not summon, I'd have summoned back and probably taken that game, which made me very excited. Not to mention, he was also very willing to play with the temptation mechanic, and like he wasn't just outright saying yes every time. He's like yes, no, yes, and that's when I started realizing everybody has things in their army that they're willing to sacrifice to the D3 mortal wounds, and things they're not. So that became a game within the game mentally. Like this was early forming of it, which will play more into the next couple games. But yeah, that
As
like
KO, I can confirm. No, I don't.
we'll say some armies I think are yeah sure go ahead and do it to me, and other armies are absolutely not, and other ones, the majority I think are going to be. You need to figure out which one of my things I don't want you to offer it to because I can't take the wounds.
Right. Yeah.
But another loss, but still had a good time. Was unexpectedly falling in love with this army all over again. But
I'm glad to hear.
yeah, yeah. I trust me. I'm eating crow. With how poo pooing I was on it.
Happily.
Yeah, happily. Yeah. But game three, Matt.
Um, so this was the first matchup that was in my favor,
Okay.
and to the point where I felt very bad.
He was the OPR
Um,
player, right?
yeah.
Yes, Steven. I played him as well. So
So again, he was great, but like Oh, so like there were so many elements to that game that was so um not unenjoyable, but like preventing enjoyment. So like again, this list had no defense against me. I basically did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. What I didn't want on the table, it was off the table. Um, and again, like it's not really how I want to win.
Yeah, I know.
And then on top of that, while I'm trying to play our game,
Hmm.
at the table next to us, there's some guy who just starts like
Yeah,
losing his shit.
yeah. There was he was kind of like the talk of the event, and not no one was like trying. No one was like negatively affecting him, but like he was being a negative effect because
Oh yeah,
he was a new player. He came in thinking he could go 5-0. Like his expectations were unrealistic, and he
right.
was a very honestly he was a sore loser, and it kind of makes it hard. I think some people tried to help like course correct him, but like yeah, it was
Oh, I mean,
yeah, wasn't good.
I again, like as someone who was there earlier in the day, just keeping it on the inside though, to you know, I got to reach over to him like, hey, bud, you okay? Do you want me to like get you a drink, get you a snack or something? And he's like, no, blah, blah, like snapping at me.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
trying to be
okay,
helpful, kind
I can understand being upset, but whenever you are so upset to the point where people outside of your game
are
are
affected.
intervening to see how you're doing, that should be a sign to you that you need to get your shit together. You need to remember you're an adult.
Yeah, like we're playing with
Um,
toys. It's okay to
right.
lose.
And like again, like so he was also not in a good place because he was fighting against our buddy Okami, who was also bringing KO. He was this guy was playing Skaven, which is Okami's main army.
Yeah, he knows how to beat that army.
So if there's two armies Okami knows how to play, it's KO and Skaven.
Right.
So he's at the top of his game against the best opponent that he could possibly have.
Hmm. Which also
And this guy,
is interesting because Okami is also the nicest human being I've ever met.
yeah, yeah.
Like, if like, I don't know how you can be mad in the presence of him. He has an aura buff of just joy.
Well, like I said, it had nothing to do with his opponent.
Yeah.
Obviously, Okami did nothing wrong. None of his opponents did anything wrong.
I think
He was upset that he wasn't winning.
yeah, I think his expectations were unrealistic, but I think that
So
is what it
that
is.
was very distracting. Where I'm trying to play, I'm trying to remember how all my rules come together and everything, and there's literally someone screaming, slamming the table, throwing dice, throwing models, like
Yeah.
his own. um, and again, then on top of that, it was an unfair match for my opponent. So it was, even though it was my first win, it was a very definite feel bad.
Yeah, that's fair. My game three continued with my losing streak. I can't remember my opponent's name. He was attending the Pitt campus college. He had Idoneth Deepkin, and the mission. I forget the mission was. It was Nidus Path. So it had the weird
Yeah.
step, which meant, and he was I think he was a 1-drop, and I was like a 4. Maybe he was 2, but I was like, oh no. So
Hashtag 9 drop.
yeah, it's well. The only reason I was a 4-drop is because I I went for was it Warlord or whatever it is, Command Entourage to get the extra item. But no matter what I did, I was only gonna get one extra item, and then every other battalion I couldn't fit into except for. So that's why I just threw it into the one to make it a low drop because it's like I can't fit anywhere else because my army was kind of weird. It was like the list
Yeah.
building was on it too because of points, but that's beside the point. So I knew I wasn't going first. I was like, you know what? This was also like it was his first painted army, his first tournament. I'm like, let's just give him a great game. I could hide like a coward because I knew he was going to go first, or I could just stand there and take it and let's do our best to make a game of it. So like he let me deploy first. I deployed my battalion. I'm like, here you go. You can see everything. Let's do it. And he was like he was leaning into it. He's like, it's so cool. So he deployed his battalion. Like we were playing to the spirit of the same game we both wanted. He took the first turn, overran me. Didn't quite outright kill me as I thought he would. I had a nice little counter punch in, but I was just pinned too far back, and my army needs speed and needs to get out. So it turned into a sweeping victory for him very quickly. I was able to score almost no points. Uh, but still had a good time. Had a few like cheeky plays to have some cool moments. Um, Very gracious, very nice. He kept talking to me for the rest of the event. He's like, "Oh, cool. Like, how'd your next game?" Like after my next game, he was always like, "How'd your
Yeah.
game go? How'd your game go?" Like he's super cool. And I feel bad 'cause I can't remember his name. Um, actually, let me see. I might because we were also texting because I told him to come out to the club day. Let me see. Hunter. No, yeah, I think no, it's not Hunter. Hunter's someone else I met there. Ah, shoot. Oh well. Wait, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe not. Anyway, um, really enjoyed the game, and as I just decided to go have a go of it. He also is going for law for his education right now. So like he
Okay.
really enjoys the rules and the list building. Like he was excelling at it. But what was really funny was he was just saying no to all my temptation rolls. He's like, "I'll take the wounds. I'll take the wounds." So then my whole play became, what don't you want to take those wounds on? When don't you want to take those wounds? And I found and like so even though like by turn two, uh, I was almost tabled by the bottom of two, I still had over 36 depravity because I found what he did not want and I had
Wow.
some good rolls. So it was a great time. Um, the loss doesn't show how fun of a match it was, but yeah, he absolutely clobbered me. But
Um,
yeah,
yeah. So the next day we had our round four,
yep,
where I had my traditional match with my rival Dave.
no, yep.
um, it's every time there's a GT, he and I are typically always fight round four, round five.
Hmm.
We're just like on the exact same level. And I felt really bad about this one because uh, I ended up winning, but afterwards I heard him in I forget who he was talking to.
Oh no,
Um,
you lagged for a second there. I apologize. Could you, in case you said something? Oh no, you're lagging again. Oh no,
so let me know when you can hear me.
I can hear you now. Seem to be caught up.
There we go. I heard him talking to someone saying that like he was disappointed because he always looks forward to our match,
Yeah,
and this one wasn't a good game for him, and so that kind of made me feel a
and
little
he was
bad.
playing Iron Jaws.
Iron Jaws,
Yeah.
yeah. And so now again, um, in my defense, I think it was a lot closer than he felt it was.
Yeah.
A lot of things went in my favor, and if it didn't go in my favor, it would have been done top of turn one. So I hid in the corner
Yep.
because I had
Because
to.
you're KO and the piggies are coming after you and a Maw Crusher
Right.
too.
So he still managed to, not only did he manage to get his Maw Crusher into me, he got his Maw Crusher in down around the side along my table corner and charging
Yep.
horizontal.
Yep. Mighty Destroyers is really good.
So again, I had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. If he would have been able, and then of course he got the pigs coming in from the top.
Yeah.
The one thing I did that I think was the right choice, I put Ironclad here, Frigate over here.
I think so. Yeah,
Because
because like you want to give, you don't want to give them one juicy target that they can throw everything in on. Because even when I played Adeptable, I had my split forces too, so it's like in the middle was like such a non-option. So yeah, you did exactly play.
so unlike everyone else, I always go with the engine, the great engine work, the last word, where essentially you get to shoot with your main gun for free when charged
Yep.
with no penalty.
It's great.
Um,
Freaking great.
yes. Everyone loves the ram, and I'm like, the Ironclad is not supposed to be in combat.
Right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You get you get no benefits for that
Yeah.
other than doing that.
Frigates
So
frigates combat, yes. Ironclads, no.
so he charged into me. I shoot with that. I did, I think it was 6 damage off the bat,
Nice.
and he didn't stop a single one.
Always good.
And then I also went with Alpha Pack for my Admiral.
Okay.
And so then I elected my Ironclad and both units of Thunderers to shoot.
Unleash hell.
Unleash Hell.
Nice. Love
Uh,
it.
and so through that, I killed his. I killed
The Maw Crusher.
the Maw Crusher.
And did he only have one Maw Crusher?
Yeah, you just had one Maw
Yeah.
Crusher and then two
That's-
units of 6 of Gorgruntas.
That is... Taking out that Maw Crusher is huge in that style list.
Well, like I said, I mean, I was in the corner. There was really nowhere for me to go, and I was surrounded by pigs and Maw Crusher. So if I didn't destroy that Maw Crusher, he would have destroyed that boat, everything in the boat, and then I would have literally had to beat the game with a Code Right, a Navigator, and 6 Wardens.
Isn't going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So because I killed the Maw Crusher, the game was essentially mine. We probably could have just called it at that point, but
Yeah.
Um,
You play on for points. You had time. There's no rush. So.
right. We had plenty of time, and like I said, I just felt bad because like it was super close, and it just because the game it was at the very beginning that happened, and then we had a game for the next hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to focus on. But from there, it was just I just played properly, and I was getting all the points, and
Yeah, you got the cleanup duty really quickly, which is it happens.
right. Again, I felt bad that it was again a little bit of a long-term spanking, but like I said, it was at the end of the day, it was close.
Yeah, I think you need to keep that in mind because as we're going to be taking KO together for the NashCon fun we're doing, I think that's going to be the wins for KO is you're just spanking somebody. It's like, you wouldn't feel bad, but also I think most people are going to acknowledge like either I kill what I need to kill or I'm getting spanked by this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it's just a known quantity. You don't need to feel bad. That's just the style of that list and how it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
So, but a win's a win, and like I said, it could go either way. So,
Yeah. So here I am, 2-2. So I'm at least at my goal.
yeah, absolutely. I played Steven, your prior round opponent with OBR. And he's another local. And that's the other thing I have to say. I played 5 people I never played before. 4 of them I didn't know who they were. Loved it. With Steven,
Yeah.
We were both there early. Started our game early, having a good time. And I have to say, I had the mask too. That's the other thing that I keep forgetting was in my list. And a Vice Turn Foot. But and the mask has that nice little like deployment trick. So at the end of deployment, I pretty much can deploy 3 inches away from an enemy, redeploy it. But what I started realizing is like one that's good for some things like trying to like alpha kill Skarsnik or like some foot heroes and that fun stuff. But with this, I used it to deploy onto objective and then give my opponent first turn because there was 4 objectives, 1 in your territory, 2 on the center, and then 1 in the opponent's. And he was playing OBR and he deployed heavily on one side. So I redeployed the mask to my left flank, which he was not covering. And that way I let him go first. He could score hold 1, hold 2, but he could not hold more. Because I knew my counter punch would take it and I could get up. And that's what I did. Counter punched up. And I was surprised with OBR's ability to do the counter charges. Oh boy, that is spicy and that was fun. He did make a mistake before we began though, because walking through the lists and then making sure that he knows everything that mine is like maybe a gotcha. But he had played Slanesh before, so he understood the temptation mechanic. And he outright said, he's like, I don't want you to do anything with that on my crawler here because I do not want to take those wounds. And I was like, well, now I know how to make my depravity points. Thank you. Should have told me that. Let me figure that out. So I hyper-focused on that. Had some clutch plays throughout because he had the endless spell to prevent like 1 and 2 wound models from holding objectives, and I had to kill the character that had that, and I was able to do that in combat. My keeper died very quickly, but I started like lane blocking with my chariots and focusing more on my daemonettes to do the work and heroes. and we had a close game. He got every battle tactic, every single one. I only
Oh,
got four, but I held pretty much three objectives every single round I played it. Even like sneaking back and stealing his back one, because this was all this also the scenario where Galatian champions had like objective secured. So my vice leader on foot used her tunnel master to go back and take a point off of Catacross. I was like, uh oh. Um, but she also was able to like survive that because he was too busy with something else with Catacross that she was able to get the spell off on him, so he only had movement 3, charge 3, run 3. So like he was just locked in place. Like, and I have to say too, all the stuff and all the tricks that OBR has, I was like, oh, this is rough. This is rough. I didn't realize it was the heroes causing that,
yeah,
especially the 5 wound heroes and that Wheels of Execution, where it's like you run over units, you move 8 inches, you run them over, and you roll 6 dice. If you get below their armor save, they take a mortal wound. I was
yeah.
just popping his heroes. There's one time I took one of his heroes and I popped it immediately, like just completely gone.
Well,
It was I rolled really shitty. Like I was rolling ones and twos, but I'm like 6 mortal wounds, and he's like, okay, fives, and it's dead. So I was getting really lucky with that, but like the game was very close. Like I said, my ability to hold the objectives and keep them pinned really helped. Um, Also, I just to really like keep it in, like like we were going through it. I mathematically kept him because his battle tactic was to keep his one unit of the basic warriors at full strength by the end of the game, and I threw everything in it at the end just to guarantee, which I didn't need to because I was already mathematically won. So I was kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like, I did that. I'm like, I'm sorry, that was kind of dick. I didn't realize. I thought I was lower on points than what I actually was, but he was very gracious. OBR is pretty scary, but I said I think if you can pin them, you have a good chance. But still, not like I
Oh,
kept him pinned for permanently. Like he broke out, but like
yeah.
it was a
Yeah, I'll tell you, with
yeah.
the it's really hard to say. Like Catacross is really good, but and I think he's pointed appropriately, but I think for how the rest of the army is pointed, I think you need to put the point somewhere else.
I I don't know. It's interesting. Like the crawler's also really good, and I think pointed appropriately, but that shot me once, and
I think the point's too high on that.
maybe like it shot me once, and I immediately threw something at it. Like you're done with this. You're not shooting me ever again. Now he did have a fun strategy where his crawler had to like destroy something in combat because that's like the only unit he had in
Yeah.
combat, and he gave it like the bonus run from Catacross, and it actually killed a unit because I had like 3 models in it, so it was pretty funny. But yeah,
Yeah,
OBR I
it's
think
just
OBR can be a little bit more scary than I expected, but I think
yeah.
it's manageable.
Your lawyer buddy should try him out. That'd be terrifying.
I know, no, keep playing IDK. But yeah, but like I said, I was excited to get a win. Um, wasn't like my goal for this, but I was like, okay, I mean a win, and I played really well, and like I said, the temptation mechanics was thrilling, and like so especially too because I forget there was like one time. Oh no, this was in my third game, but it's a fun story. So let me back up a little bit there. I chose the tactic to get I think 12 depravity points using my 4 killers, and I got 9. So what I did is I offered my opponent a uh, a, no, I got 10. So I offered him a save. So he'd save one, I'd only get 9, but then I would get depravity points, and if it refused, I could roll to get the 12 because it was the same unit. And it was one of those like he paused and he thought about it for a long time. He's like, he was a new player, so I was see what he did as far as tournament scene. He chose to deny me about battle tactic, which was absolutely right, and I congratulated him afterwards. But like, there was a long pause of him going, "I want this live, but I also don't want you to get more depravity. But if I take the wounds, you'll get a battle tactic." It was like a fun math problem for him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'll say
yeah,
like
but yeah, game 4 was great. I took a win. I was better than I thought I would do. I was planning to go 0-5 without caring, so having a win was a bonus.
yeah. And then we go into the final round.
Yep. After you, I know yours is once again a shorter one because you ran into another Team America uh,
Yeah.
personnel.
Looking back at it, I do feel a little dumb. I should have. I came up with something that would have at least given me a shot. But this was what's the name of this one? Position, not positions of power. Only the worthy or something.
Yeah.
It's the one where it is the real narrow. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, 30-inch
yeah,
deployment and then up to the center, 9 inches away from
yeah,
opponents.
and so he brought the
The Vanguard list, right?
the which one?
The Vanguard
Yeah,
list? Yeah.
the Vanguard list that everyone's running, where it's the 6 Vanguard, 2 Chaos Sorcerers, and then just chaff, chaff, chaff.
Yeah.
Oh, and Chosen.
Yeah.
Um, this match was so much longer than it needed to be.
Well, I mean,
Like,
he was probably learning that army too. Like, there's a lot of like precision you need with it, but
um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, you got to practice that to get that precision quick.
I was as far back as humanly possible, hurled in a corner, in like behind some terrain. Um, I would have done the 2 corner thing, but the 2 corners were like.
Yeah, it's you can't hide.
Now, what I would have done differently is I would have taken out 5 Thunderers and shielded my frigate,
Hmm.
and that would have, because like I don't. The problem is I don't know which side I would have put it on.
Right.
Retrospectively, obviously the frigate, because he charged into the frigate, but
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters too much at the end of the day. The book's just a little too hot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they had a points decrease, which is weird.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, so he buffed up the Vanguard with everything to the point where he jumped them with the bridge, charged them into me. I shot again with everything. I did Unleash Hell. I did the last word.
yep,
I think I killed a singular Vanguard.
yep.
And it's like, okay, well, if you're on a 2-up, 6-up after a Ren 2,
And
there's not much.
yeah, I can't do mortal wounds to you with this army, so it's
Right.
yeah.
Right. Can't do mortal wounds. And then um um so even afterwards I got lucky with my roll for the Thunders, because like whenever Thunders, if you take a unit of Thunders and shoot entirely at one unit,
They're suppressed.
you roll 2d6 and add the amount of wounds you did, and if it's over their bravery, then they're -1 to hit.
Yep.
So even with -1 to hit, it was still 2-up, 2-up.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything.
Yeah, that's a tough army. And actually, and I know you had to leave early, and then your game finished like pretty much round one, I assume. Because like,
Oh yeah, top of
yeah,
round one.
yeah, mine would have been the same against that list. But he came up afterwards. He's like, yeah, he's like, I wish I had a chance to talk to him a little more after it, because like I said, I can't not bring this style of list for like what I'm practicing for, and I feel like I gave him a really shitty game. Like he was kind of like, I wish I could give a better game, but like he's practicing for Worlds, so like it's like okay,
Team America. It's Team America. You
yeah,
got to.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, I want Team America to go win, so like I understood. Like, yeah, he was a little remorseful, because also like, you know, he doesn't want to give a bad game, but like it was that's a rough matchup
yeah,
for anybody. I would,
not,
even if I brought Daughters of Cain like tuned to try and win, I would have got my ass handed
right.
by that list.
And again, not to rake him through the mud at all, but like
No,
he's
no,
also the one that gave me the bad game last GT whenever he shut my sons down entirely.
I called him out for that. This is bringing a strong list, and he was the perfect counter and the perfect mission for him to just push your shit in. The last one, he even acknowledged that. Like I think it's like you're playing it correct, but you're being a dick about it. but like I said,
Again, I mean,
he's a
it's
good
Team
guy.
America. Like this is the highest level. This is
Yeah,
the highest level play. You need to play like that.
and that's what they're going to run into. That's what they need to prepare for. That's the thought process. And like I said, that's not a critique on the person. That's not a critique on any way of play. It's just the nature of the fact that we're surrounded by Team America, and this was a smaller event. So unless you lost almost every game like I did, you were going to run into them, and it's
Right.
inevitable. So it's like, but also like we're very lucky, because while you lost that game, now you've seen that list. You've already thought about like, what can I do differently next time to have a chance, and let alone being in a different scenario, you might even have a better chance. You'd be farther away. So
Yeah,
You
honestly, the
you
only
just
thing
get
I
better
can
by losing to better opponents and better lists. That's and we should be thankful for that for sure.
yeah, the only thing I really thought of was if I put the Thunders out and screened something properly, all of my all of my like units, like
Hmm.
all my non-heroes, non-boats, were in sharpshooters.
Right.
So if I could have flew high on the other side of the board and shot the two sorcerers off,
Yeah, and which
then I think we'd have a
that
chance.
could have just been wholly by a different scenario where you could deploy farther corners, and you could have done
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
I mean, sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're unlucky, but yeah,
yeah.
like I said, the next time you encounter someone with that list who's also probably less skilled, let's be honest, because they're
Yeah.
not practicing for Worlds, you're going to surprise the hell out of them really quickly, and you're going to be like, what?
Yeah, but again, that's why you got to get your reps in. I did. I got the army done at the last minute, so I was not able to get reps in. So
Yeah, but you also went 2 and 3 and met your goal,
yeah,
so wildly successful event. I think for you, like I said, you've got more reps in KO than I have. So it doesn't look good for me for NashCon. Um, my game five, once again, I can't remember the opponent's name. Another local. He also brought Gits, but it was a Squigalanch, whatever you want to call it. Um, we had a good time. Once again, I was just like, all right, we're just going to have a good time. I don't care. I got to win. I'm already well ahead of where I thought I would be for this event. He let me deploy first. Boom, here's my battalion. But I was also gonna go first. So he counter deploy his battalion. I went first. I just alpha struck him, took out some key things. Like so once again, went for board control, similar to what I did with the OBR, and it was working pretty well. Um, it's hard to it was hard to keep him from scoring his battle tactics. He had to get really precise about some of his movements because, like, especially with like, I can't be in the bad moonlight, but the bad moon's here, but not here. It was like it's really interesting. But like, it all made sense. He was playing completely in the up and up, but it was like some slight adjustments in movement for me, and I could have prevented him from scoring probably 2 battle tactics at least, which would probably give me a better chance on taking the game. But we were just having fun. He was another opponent where he was just like, I'll take the wounds, I'll take the wounds, I'll take the wounds, until I found out where he didn't want to take those wounds. And then my depravity skyrocketed in 2 turns. I think I was on like 45 or something. Like it was, and my euphoric killers was popping off. It was a great time. My only downside to that is my keeper got hit and struck first because like the way the combat's lined up, like she was the one I could sacrifice, but the problem was she died. I was hoping she'd live and do a counter punch, but still, it was fun. Um, Took the loss, another close game. Like I said, got to play a new opponent. Can't 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 complain at all. Didn't take any awards home, which is fine. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to win any, but having fallen in love with the temptation mechanic through all 5 of my games, not just learning it, but falling in love with it was a extreme success. And the fact that I also squeezed out a game win, like I said, to me this was, even though I had the same record that I had at Brewhammer. Brewhammer, as far as an event goes, was okay. This was wildly successful in my mind because I achieved more than I set out to achieve, and I had a blast doing it. So
good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really. I think my biggest complaint is that due to my matchups, I didn't have like getting squashed as hard as I did. I didn't have enough opportunity to learn things.
yeah, but we'll just keep getting more reps in. I'm curious because you and I are
Um,
going to start playing KO on KO for a while.
you
What the fuck does that look like, Matt?
know. Well, I mean, the issue is like so the unit of 6 Sky Wardens with +1 to hit and wound on the charge, like it never did anything.
Right.
It was a completely waste of time. But at the same point, I can't afford to bring a second Ironclad and more Thunders. And again, there was also times where the Thunderers did nothing.
Right.
There's no reliability in the army.
Yeah, which, although that's a good reason. I think it's weird though, because like I watched the Warhammer Weekly today, about Soulblight, which is the latest episode by the time of this recording. And I think Vince said the KO's probably the strongest army in the game right now.
And I have to figure out why.
Yeah,
What people? Again, I know
yeah,
they are. I know they are.
yeah. Like we've seen it, but
But
I'm like, I can't. I need to watch someone who knows how to play the army well play
yeah,
it and figure it out. Like
and
I know how to do.
unfortunately, all those people are keeping it to themselves.
Yeah. Well, maybe Aethercast. They might be sharing, but um, we'll see. Because like, yeah, I need to start getting reps into with the KO. Although I want to play more Slanesh right now so bad. It's so much fun tempting people with that dice. It's I think I said it to many people there, but and many group chats, but the temptation dice hits the same tickle in my brain that rolling for Kraith does because I'm interacting with my opponent in a fun way, and it's like
Yeah,
I just love all of it. So I want to play
yeah,
more, play more so bad, but I need to focus. Start thinking about the KO. I have my
yeah. And
list.
and that's my thing. Is like what's funny is like I definitely want to play like less KO. Like once we get to NashCon, KO's going on a shelf.
It's fine. I'm getting urges to play some more Daughters of Cain too, but that's also because I watched that Blacktown episode. And, need me some sweet witch elf action going on. But I also could play some fantasy with dark elves. We'll figure it out. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, we both hit our goals. I got a little lucky and exceeded my goal because I fell in love with this army all over again. Um, but yeah, overall, Matt, thoughts on the event itself?
Um.
Critiques, like good things, whatever you
So
like.
here's so this is a victim of circumstance more than a criticism.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's not. I think it's a fair not a fair statement, but I don't think there's anything that can be done about it. And I think with the because Dom has said that he wants this to go up to like an 80-person
Right,
event.
and Dom's the one that runs the shop and technically runs these
Yeah,
events. Yep. Great guy.
and
No
oh,
character assassination. Great
love him to
guy.
death.
Yep.
Love him to death. I just don't think we're ever going to get to 80. And the simple fact of the matter for that is because new people come in, they get paired against Team USA, and they go, wow, this isn't a fun game. I'll go do something else, or I'll go play somewhere else.
Or play 40K, or because 40K the week before they had I think they maxed at 80
I had an
people.
80 man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like, you can't tell Team America not to show up. You can't tell good players, hey, don't show up.
Especially when the event times perfectly to be like the last big event that you can get to
Right.
easily before you go to a big Worlds
Right.
event. So
Right. So it's like, so I don't know how you grow at that point.
see, for me, let's get the critiques out of the way, and we'll do some like positive at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
My two critiques. One, I read the pack and I follow the pack to the best of my ability. I might miss some things, like I missed with Brewhammer when they changed it. We weren't using book
Yeah.
battle tactics, so I'm just like, okay, whatever, not a big deal.
Well, I don't know what I would do with KO if I didn't have my book battle tactics.
Well, Daughters Kane, you go 1 and 4. Uh, but regardless, it's like, but that's fine. That's me missing something. I don't mind that. That's me not
And
keeping
me.
up with it. Yeah, we all missed it. But with this pack, I was reading through it, and like there were some things clearly it was copied from the same pack he used for 40K. Because there's one thing that says, oh, there was an award if you fought, if you lost every game to the same subfaction of space, like example Space Marine. It's like, okay, we just forgot to change that, but we all know what you mean. No big deal. But other things in there, like there was probably about 6 different awards that were stated in that pack that were not given. Like best painted single model, best painted unit, best painted large model. Um, Also with best painted, it said clearly, if you want to be selected for best painted, you need to have a display board. So I spent 2 days building a quick display board. Nothing great. And I'm not gonna lament the people that beat me on painting awards because they were better painted armies. I think mine may have been like had a shot for 2 or 3, but I also think my paint scheme is very subtle, so that's very subjective. That's fine. But the people who won didn't have display boards, but it was in the pack. But that's because we got there, and he's like, it doesn't matter. There was a lot of stuff that was in the pack that wasn't enforced, utilized, and was just completely nah, I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, well,
Well,
don't put it in your pack.
I
And
would have liked to have seen the painting enforcement a little bit because like
yeah, there's people there with unpainted models, that
in
sort of
my
thing.
turn one, I fought against an unprimed what's his face of Slanesh.
Keeper.
No, the mortal.
Oh, Sigvald.
Yeah.
Yeah,
An
it's
unprimed.
yeah, and that to me that's the thing. Like back whenever you and I can take the same critique. And like I said, the pack wasn't enforced. It wasn't even well written. It wasn't clarified. Um, Dom, he even said to start, he's like, I'm not necessarily a big Sigmar person, but I was there. There was Andrew, there was Jeremy Bessier who won the event. Congrats to Jeremy. Bill Souza. There was many people there that could answer the questions full well.
Yeah.
So that's not sure, that's fine. It's a small event, not a big deal. But if you want to grow, if you want 80 person, you need someone who's a TO to be the TO. You
Right.
need someone who's going to make the pack exactly as it needs to be and will be followed to the fullest. That's just the critiques, and that's not a critique on where the event's at now. That's on a critique of if you want to grow this. It's the same thing like I said, going back to Nova. Whenever I opened my mouth and once we went to Nova, or I went to Nova. Were you there at the first Nova with me? You were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were playing unpainted models, that sort of stuff. And like my critique was, you're a national level event, fucking act like it. To me, it's like with this, okay, if you want to be a 30-man event, you're fine with where you're at. If you want to improve, you need to put in the work. You need to put in the effort because that pack is garbage, needs to be clarified, and the fact that there's no true TO won't fly once you get over 40 people.
Right.
Like if you want to run the store, that's fine. Pay someone in prize support or store credit or dollars to be that TO, or hire somebody at your store to be that TO
Yeah.
for that weekend. And like I said, and that's not a critique on this event. This event was fine. It was great. I had a great time. But if you want this to be an 80-person event, you need to act like a fucking 80-person event. That's my critiques.
Yeah.
It's not harsh.
No,
It's
I'll
just
agree.
truth.
And I have, and Dom probably agree.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And like I said, but moving on, like, do you have any more critiques before we move on to like the great stuff?
Um, no, not really.
What I did love, the atmosphere was very relaxed. The event ran on schedule. There was only one game that was going a little bit long, and actually Dom and actually Bill Souza walked over, but they hurried it along and got through to the end. I think the trophies, which didn't exist at the last event, now exist. They're laid up. They're cool things. He printed weapons for the winners, like fantasy weapons, and he was painting them during the event because they came in kind of like late, so he was actually painting them while we're playing, and then gave away amazing prize support, tableware case, store credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great venue. Uh, and like I said, and to me too, like I don't want models as a prize. I want stupid trophies because I can buy the models I want. But yeah, the awards that were given, great. Absolutely love it. Top tier. Do you have anything nice to say, Matt?
Um,
You're silent there. I'm like, oh no.
I agree with what you said.
Okay, no, it's fine. No, this event is well worth it. I want to see it grow. I just want to see it grow and respect its growth, which I think it will.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think Dom's gonna listen to this podcast, but if I go to the next event, which I think in August, it's Grugny's something. It's look at Fabricators Forge Facebook page. You'll see the event. It's in August. I'll attend that one if I can, I believe. But
I believe it's the week before NashCon.
I will not be attending that one because the wife will kill me. That's
It's either 1 week or 2 weeks before.
2 weeks is maybe. We'll see. But like next time I talk to Dom, I will give him the critiques. I'm like, if you want to grow, this is what you need. Because I want to see him succeed. Like the store is great and the area is great. It'd be fun to see that turn into like a huge 80-person event.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe if they could get up to 80,
I mean, honestly,
the Team America.
get up to 60 would be phenomenal.
Yeah, hitting that between 60 and 80, I think at that point, it might be a little bit easier with all of Team America showing up.
Yeah, there'll probably be more showing up, but yeah, the pack will
um,
separate a little bit quicker between the people
I
who,
said for
yeah.
me though, like honestly, after the last GT and then this GT, I I think it's gonna be a while before I do another one though.
No,
It's
that's
just I'm out of my league on that one.
no, it's fair. And like I said, it is a Shark Tank because you're playing top tier opponents and like you're probably going to face them.
Right.
Unless you're me and you just dodge it because you lose terribly. But yeah, no, that's fair. But also, if you're wanting to play these top tier folks, this is your best chance to get a game in with them and talk to them.
Right.
And I said, they're all super friendly. Like they'll smash your teeth in and they have a beer and you talk shop with them. It's great. But um, yeah, like I was excited. I was excited to see Jeremy and Noah at this event and catch up with them a little bit. So it's always good. Like I said, I hope they keep coming to it, and I hope this event grows. Uh, but yeah, and I just hope the pack tightens up going forward.
Yep.
Like that'll be my indicator. Like not this next one. 'Cause if it's too close to NashCon, it's gonna be a no fly. Just to
Well,
not
I mean,
do that. But if
if
I the next one I can go to, I'm gonna look at the pack. If the pack is still like the same copy and paste, then we'll be like, I'm gonna reach out to Dom, and be like, Dom, I'm not gonna sign up for this, and I'm gonna delete your event from my club page unless you tighten up this pack. I'll be like, no,
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not suffering any of my friends to go through this unless you make this an actual tournament pack like it should be. Come on, you can do it. I know you can.
well, unless you have a non-compete clause, you should send them the pack you made for Nova.
I could. I mean, yeah, there's no non-compete clause. If as he said, Chuck, can you write up the pack for me? Yeah, sure. I'll write up the pack. You just choose your missions whenever you want, and you can get help from anyone that knows how to play this game or what missions are good for a tournament. I
We'll
would do
get
that.
that.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
We'll get that nice that golden. Not that it was needed, but the golden hygiene clause right back in
Yeah.
play.
the Although it is funny 'cause, early on when Dom said like, "Oh, there's so many people here to answer questions if you need." Like he's like, this person. He said, "Chuck." I was like, "You need to pay me. I'm a professional now." Even though there's people there that probably answer questions better and quicker than me, but um,
Oh,
yeah, like I said, I just hope the pack tightens up for the event's growth itself because it needs it if it wants to truly succeed. And that's like I said, that's not so much as I won't even call that criticism. That's a necessity, and I think it will happen.
freezing a little bit, but I think I'm back.
Yeah, you froze a little bit, but you're back. You're good. I finished my point though.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm looking forward to finishing up some Seekers, starting the line, and have a pretty calm May. So maybe we can get some games to be a tabletop simulator or in person KO on KO, Matt.
Yeah. Boy, the crunching and sparks that's nothing like good old metal on metal sound. Huh?
Yeah. Although what's going to be very interesting is we'll probably have a points adjustment between now and NashCon.
Oh God, don't remind me. I don't know. I can't handle that.
I I don't think I'll have to paint anything, but we'll see. Scott Rex shoots up
We'll
a
see,
lot.
like it. My list is probably going to get wrecked pretty hard because I have a feeling Thunderers are going to go up.
Yeah.
I have a feeling a lot of stuff is going to go up unfairly, and we're going to be in a sticky pickle.
Well, listen, that's why for NashCon, the tournament itself is between me, you, and Neil. So we're all taking KO, so we'll all lose together. Who loses the least? Or we can make
Right.
whatever. But we'll do a whole podcast episode on that at some point here in the future. But hopefully next week at this time, you'll see me and Neil on again, and we'll be talking exciting old world news and some Sigmar news. We'll see what they announce. But yeah,
And
Matt.
next week, what Power Hour coming out?
Heck
Probably going to
yeah.
focus on whatever the old world announcement is.
Nice.
Oh, and it's probably not going to be a month or two, but I came up with the most comment-inducing topic I can possibly think of.
No. Is it female space marines?
No, 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 no.
Okay. All right.
YGW should get rid of your army.
Ooh. That's gonna be fun. Okay, well there you go, guys. Stuff to look forward to as usual. Keep like and subscribe to the channel, or keep downloading and following the podcast. Check out the blog strengthhammer.net. There's our merch and all that fun stuff too. Until next week, everyone out there, happy hobbying. Stay Stormcast strong.